Okay, I guess that's the best we can do with the John Deere tractor. Garden tractor, the D155, is going to hold my camera up while I light the fire. And you've already seen the temperatures that are in here. It's 39 degrees, which is 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It is cold. And I've got some work to get done in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some small firewood in there, some newspapers on top. We'll see if we can get this thing running. Now, I like to put some small stuff. All this wood here, I've had to split on my little electric 9-ton splitter because all this stuff, I'll show you maybe later, is way too big. You could only stick one piece of firewood in here. And this firewood here actually is supposed to go inside the house. But the shorter pieces, I like to cut just to fit in here. Now, this is I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce this, but this is a Jøtul miniature, and I'll get you the exact name when I go back in, little fireplace. What I'm trying to do here is heat this 2-car garage up with this thing, and to be honest with you, it's way undersized. I bought it when money was a little bit tight, and I should have bought the bigger one, because then I could have plugged it in and I don't have to use this little fan here, which virtually does nothing in itself. So we'll just get some kindling going on in here. And now it's just time to roll up some newspapers. And we'll light it. Oh, and I don't have a clock on me, which is a good thing, I guess. They got some job to do in here today tonight. Now, I picked up this idea from another guy. You just take the newspaper and roll it up, tie a little knot in it, and you put about 5 or 6 of those things in there. And she lights up pretty good actually. Most of the time with one match. Plus, I think it came down to the cold this morning. Went to a hockey game last night. Pretty good actually. It was 8-1 for the home team, the UNB Reds, Varsity Reds, I believe it's called. Ooh. Alright. I don't think I got enough film in there. Most of this kindling's 2-3 years old. Nick, my son got a Manitoba maple donated to him from a landed on a car after an ice storm or something and lugged her home. It's not something that you really want to burn because if it's wet, it doesn't smell good. Okay. The rats want in. Come on. Come on. Oh yeah, here's one. This one, ice. Atta boy. What do you think? Okay. Let's see. Ooh la la, it's cold in here. There we go. Whoa. So she's 39 degrees on one temperature gauge. And the other one's showing 36. There's a temperature gauge difference of 3 degrees. One of them, the 39, there you go, good boy, is on the side of the house. And I think some of the heat from the house coming into the wall warms that temperature gauge up. But on the far side, it's always colder. And in the wintertime, we can use this in here for, over here we have some root vegetables from our garden. All that bending over makes my pants, underwear slide off. Yeah, excuse me, ladies. Okay. Up here is the temperature gauge of the flue. And I've had this thing wrapped right over with the fire alarm ringing because I put plywood in there and it got so hot that this thing here went crazy. So if I'm going to put plywood in there, I don't put one piece of plywood just to kind of get rid of it, and that's it. Now, in this 2-car garage, over here we have a way to get up to the loft from inside the garage, and I think a lot of the heat's going upstairs. But it's colder than hell up there too. I've also got 2 electric heaters. One right here that I can turn on, and there's another one upstairs, but we've never used this place in the winter because it's too freaking cold. We just can't get the heat out of it. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, you better think twice before you get something like this, because this might be able to do a 1-car garage with no loft above it, so where you can keep all the heat contained, and our walls are well insulated, they're gyp-rocked, it's all painted. We bought the warmest doors we could buy for the garage. We keep the main door closed all the time. Going in and out of here, we don't use it very much. Just use that for lugging wood in from outside, so that if it's nasty weather, I don't have to go outside. I probably got a month's worth of wood sitting in here. So it's good. And it's better that I just don't keep going in and out from outside because it gets really slippery because the dogs pack it down and make it just like sheer ice. I brought in 2 loads of wood. I might go out and get one more because I put sand down and we have an ice storm coming again today. Anyway, now one thing I did like about this thing is we lost power here for a day, and I have a generator on in the house, which was good, but we have no way of cooking, and we don't really like to use the microwave because it draws a heavy amp draw, and we have a 20 kVA propane generator outside, and I don't want, I don't know, to fill that thing up all the time, which costs quite a bit of money for these two big tanks. And each tank's about this big around and about that height, and we got about 5 days worth. But if it takes longer, then I'll be out of propane and we still won't be able to heat the house. Now, the little fan's blowing here, but it's colder than hell in here still. Would I buy this thing for this application? No, not again. I would get a bigger one, a proper size one like most people have inside their homes, like the little standalone ones. And I would get it where it's got an electric blower on it. Like the insert, we have a Napoleon insert. I think it's a 1402 in the house. And it doesn't do too bad heating up one side of the house. We have about a 4,000 square foot home, and we like it cool, so at the far end of the house we can sleep with, it's pretty nice and cool, and we have two big Great Pyrenees dogs, and we don't want to let them in and out all the time, so it's nice and cool down there. They lay on the floor, and I tell you, in the middle of the night when you got to go to the bathroom, stepping on that floor is ice cold. So I usually keep my slippers up on the night table, because ice, he likes to lug them off and chew them, so he doesn't take things off the table. So before you go to the bathroom, you got to wrestle your shoes on, or slippers on, real fast, and off you go. Now this thing's starting to come up to temperature, and hopefully we can get it around 400 or 500 degrees on the stack. You can feel a little bit of heat coming off of it, but I'll tell you, I'll take a look at the temperature gauges, and there's no change yet. Ooh la la, it's cold in here. I need to warm it up in here today, because what we've got going here is I've got some Christmas gifts to make. Now these things you need. I've got two pairs. I got one pair for out here, and these are the original ones that came with the house when we bought it, and they're from what the hell's the name of that place? LL Bean in the States, and we bought another pair of gauntlets that go up even higher, so you can put your arm right into the fire and you don't have to worry about getting burnt. Now this, as you can see, you can't get a lot of wood in there, because on the pipe comes down inside of it, which kind of blocks access to the inside. And the door handle on it's a little cheap. It should fit down inside there just a little bit better, but it does work okay, except that, I don't know, it just feels cheap. Now we cooked on here. We cooked, I think we had some sausage and pierogies, and it was all right. A little bit of splattering going on around the outside, and we've had the company that we bought this from out here twice, 2-3 times actually, because they put the wrong pipe in there, and what would happen was the big rain from outside would come down and it would go onto the top of the fireplace there, and it started to cause some rusting issues. But they came back out there this, I don't know, maybe October, and repaired it by replacing the pipe and putting the proper one in. The only other thing that I had a problem with and set the alarm off with the second time was trying to light this thing during a big wind. And as my back was turned, and I didn't have the door closed properly, and I had it just the way you see me light it up, what happened was the wind was blowing so hard and I didn't get a draft started, and it was starting to blow smoke into the garage here. And yet, all you have to do is, if you do something like this and you have a problem, just open up the door. It equalizes the pressure from inside and out, and it allows the hot air to go up. I don't know if you could see me here or not, because I'm standing up and we're trying to focus on the fireplace itself. Maybe. Now, here's something that we've done from when I was a kid. We used to go to a farm, and my great aunt Georgie, she would take beans and put them behind the fireplace and dry them out for next year's beans for the garden and to make baked beans in the house. So it looks good. We got some fire going here. Once it starts building up some coals, it'll go up to the 400-degree mark. While I'm here, you got to keep feeding this thing wood steady for the temperature to rise, but it's not going to rise much more than it already is. And outside today, I think it's like -2, -1 right now. I took a photo earlier, which I'll put in the beginning of the video, from my desk. It's also very humid out because we're expecting a change in weather here today. I think the temperature is supposed to go up to about 3 degrees, and then the rains are supposed to come. And it's slippery dickory out there right now. And I've had that fan just ripping when I get the temperature up. I've got a couple of buckets down here that we use for putting the ash in here, and then I take it out and throw it in the fire pit. And I do the same in the house. But it's kind of a dirty thing. It's makes a mess. I don't know how well you can see, but it's ripping in there pretty good. And another thing is you've got to make sure that you don't burn very big pieces of wood, because there's a glass here, and if you close the door onto the piece of wood, you have a chance of breaking it, especially when it's hot. And as I understand it, these little pieces of glass, these high temperature glass or whatever they're called, can be quite pricey. Now let's see if there's a temperature change yet. Oh. We're up to 41 on the side of the house, so that's 2 degrees. We're at 37 on the far side wall. Now, like I say, I wouldn't mind having a bigger one. Neighbor down the road had a pretty good one. He sold it though for one of those old-fashioned ones. It would have taken up quite taken up. Quite a bit of space in here. But, oh well, that was a, what do you call that? Lost. I like to keep a good supply of wood on hand. And this stuff's a couple years old now. And it burns pretty quick. I have a small axe, a Fisker's hatchet. It's okay. A little chopping block. And a lot of times when in the fall, I'll sit out here and I'll split up a great big pile of kindling. And I'll show you right now how much kindling I have on hand. Both of those boxes are full of kindling. There's the toboggans that I use to drag wood from outside. And that's 3 racks deep of, I don't know, some of it's 2 years old seasoned wood. Here's the pile that I keep. And this is just a little messy there right now because I was drilling some wood here to make some bird feeders to stick up. I'll drill a bunch of holes in this thing and I'll slip a wire through it so you can hang them up. And Merry Christmas, folks. 2 more bags of kindling. And what I do with sometimes with this excessive amount of kindling, I'll end up taking it over to give it to my neighbor, my mother-in-law, so that they have some way of lighting their fires at home. There's the other dog, Storm, and there's the wood pile. I just took 1 rack down on the right-hand side there, and I'm working on the 2nd rack to get rid of it, so that did that because I wasn't sure how much space I would have after I started filling it in. I have about 4 cords on hand. If you look way over here, you can see what I did with the log. I got this idea from the nice folks down the road there. I got that for Christmas, but it went all kind of gunky on me over the summer with, it's pretty easy to do. With bacon fat, you mix a bunch of bird seed in it, and you slap it in the holes that I drill. And I drill like a 1 inch or 1.5 inch hole, not all the way through, and my wife will apply it and stick it all in there. I might put some peanut butter on it next. But unfortunately, we don't have very many birds left. As you can see over in the distant hills there, the great Irving family just likes to clear cut, and then they come and spray, and this is not a oh, what it is, whatever. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. They spray it, then all there is softwood trees growing, and then all the hardwoods are gone. You can see off in the distance there, all that, like that dark green. He's planted all that and took all the hardwoods away from the animals that need them. The browse for the food, so I wouldn't buy Irving products if I can help it. They also own the newspapers, the radio stations, and the whole province. And so we don't get the real good news anymore. It's all filtered, so we have to go on the internet to get the news. Because everything is peaches and roses. Right, Storm? Hey, what you got? You got a stick? Is that a stick? Bring the stick here. No? I suppose this is as best as you're going to get to a bone, eh? Oh, I guess I better close the door because we'll never heat this place up if I... Oh, great. There goes the alarm. And why is that? There we go. Come on. You want to come in? Come on. Come on. And a boy. This is Storm. He's almost 3 years old. He's a good pup. Hey? He's a part of the Sheepy Hollow guard dogs. There we have her around here. Now they painted this thing last fall, and I've only had one fire in there since. So what ends up happening is that I think the paint's causing the fire alarm to go off. So as you can see, now we're up to 400 degrees. And this is as steady as I can hold it. I can't afford a GoPro. And I don't have a thing to hang on to this mobile to keep it steady. So I just stick it in the hood of the tractor. There's the shop heater, and if I want a lot of instant heat, I'll whip that on. That really helps warm it up in here. But I can smell paint in here, so I'll have to leave that battery out of the fire alarm. Yeah, they had to spray it because where the water was running down was right around in the top of that, where the pipe goes out. I'm surprised that happened. Anyway, that's a half an hour of nothing but sheer joy. And we'll let you go. Now don't forget to like the video, subscribe, because I can't make any money off of any of this stuff until I get 1,000 people signed up. And I'd like to thank all 31 of you for joining and listening to me ramble on at times. And hopefully we'll be able to get some better equipment, and I'll start being able to film like the other folks do. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.